Hi there. In this video, I want to talk about daily themes like planning certain types of work for different days, building an asynchronous work or asynchronous business where you're doing work separate from other people, and building up a 1 week buffer and how that's going to help you make progress with your business. Is there supposed to be a name for this series? I don't know how this is supposed to work. If you're a YouTube person, then please tell me, like, am I supposed to have a name of this series in episode 1, episode 2? Does it live in a playlist? Like, how is this supposed to work? Because I don't know how to do this. The extent of my planning for these videos is writing down like the 2 or 3 things that have been on my mind and then just referring back to those notes as I talk about them. So not scripted at all. If you've been here for a little bit, you'll see for the last few weeks that the Thursday videos were very much just unadulterated me, whereas the Tuesday videos are a little bit more scripted, a little bit more polished. So let's jump in. I've been thinking a lot lately about daily themes because of this YouTube video. It is Thursday, January 22nd, and I am recording this video the same day that I plan on posting it. That's not how I want to do things. I want to get at least a little bit ahead whenever I'm doing these videos. So this is what happened. Last week, I had some extra time on Friday. No one was at the house. And so I was like, I'm just going to record this next week's video. And I was able to record the video that posted Tuesday of this week. I was able to record that last Friday. I was able to edit it and get it scheduled and do the thumbnail and all the stupid things that go along with posting a YouTube video. And it felt so good coming into this week, having that done, that it made me realize I really need Friday to just be my content days. I typically leave admin stuff anyway and kind of the lighter work for Fridays. But if I can just say Friday is my content day, then like I can do all my YouTube videos for the coming week. I can plan my social media posts for the coming week and schedule those out. I can do my Substack post or LinkedIn post if I'm still doing those. I can reply to comments. I can be more active in the school community that we run for authors, all those things. And if I know that I have that dedicated day on Friday to do that, then I'm more likely to actually do it and not get sidetracked with those things during the week. Here's my problem. I've tried this before. I've tried having a theme for each day. It was going to be, Monday was for management tasks. And that was going to be whenever I was going to like check in with my team and review their work and build processes and SOPs for them and training and stuff like that. Tuesdays, I think were going to be my client days. Wednesdays were going to be admin. Thursdays was going to be catch up. And Friday was going to be like CEO type stuff. It lasted about probably half a week. I don't even think I got through the first full week of doing that. And so I don't know. I think maybe having a daily theme for each day of the week, especially when you're in a business that has like a cyclical nature to it, it changes throughout the year. I don't know if that's going to really work unless if you're willing to change the themes throughout the year. So if you're writing a book and you have a release coming up, the things that you're working on each day are going to be different than they would be like a different day or a different week out of the year whenever you maybe don't have a release coming up. Same thing's true with my business. Like, I bet you my whole Friday content days are going to go out the window whenever it's April 10th and we have a tax deadline coming up. But I do think maybe just having like the one set of tasks that seems to stress you out the most, that seems to distract you from the other work that you should be doing during the week, and is kind of like that thing that you'll put off and then you'll just spend all your time on it, then you'll put off and then spend all your time on it. Maybe it makes sense to at least take those and put them on a certain day of the week and only on that day of the week. And so for me, that's content, that's social media, that's all that stuff. That's the thing that like I'll avoid it for long enough and then I'll spend way too much time doing it whenever it's panic mode, because like today I really want to get this video up. And so now I'm doing this first thing before I have some calls starting. So I don't know. I'm going to try it and see what happens. Just having one theme today and the rest of the week, not trying to like squeeze things into a certain set of tasks that I'm only going to work on Mondays or Thursdays or whatever. So if you do daily themes, if you do like the whole ideal week, I don't know if you've heard of that, like where you say each day of the week is for a certain thing. If you do that and something's worked for you, let me know in the comments, because I'm curious to know what's worked and what hasn't worked for other people. Has anyone tried, if you make social media content, if you make YouTube content, have you tried doing like a content day once a week or on a regular basis to see if that does it work for you? Have you tried it? Or has it not worked? And what have you learned? And are we just wasting all my time? One of the reasons I think this is going to work for me is because we homeschool our 5 kids, and we have a homeschool co-op that we bring them to every Friday. And as part of that co-op, I teach a personal finance class every other week. And that only lasts for like an hour. So we all go together to the co-op in the morning. I teach for about an hour. I'm there for a total of about an hour and a half. And then I typically come home, do a little bit of work, and then I might go back and meet them for noon church service and then lunch or whatever, and then come back home later. So I'm thinking, what if on those days where I have to get dressed anyway and I have to be out of the house to go do the co-op stuff, what if I treat that day as the day that I actually like record my videos? And then the other Fridays in between, maybe I can use those as times to edit them. Because if I can get like actually 2 weeks ahead on recording these videos, that'd be outstanding. I'd feel like I don't have anything to do at that point, right? So that, and then there's some other stuff going on that I don't know if I want to reveal just yet, but there may be a change in scenery here pretty soon. So more to come on that. Okay, second thing I want to talk about, asynchronous work. I built this firm based on asynchronous work. Asynchronous being like, I'm not doing things at the same time as you, right? It's not synchronous, it's asynchronous. So whenever I first started this firm, it was mainly just doing tax returns, but it was a part-time gig. So it was nights and weekends. And that meant that I could not do like Zoom calls with people to go over their tax results. I couldn't really do phone calls even because I didn't have a home office. I was just doing this from the bedroom or from the living room. And so instead of doing like phone calls where I'm delivering your tax return to you, or even in-person things, started recording videos. I use a software called Loom, and it shares my screen and it puts a little bubble of my head at the bottom side of it so that it's a little more personal. And I just go through like the first few pages of the tax return, the important things that change, the things that they're going to be signing, and just giving the client an opportunity to understand their taxes as much as they would like to. And I did it for me. Like I did it because I needed to be able to explain things. I didn't want to say, here's a PDF of your taxes. Let me know if you have any questions. I did it for me because I wanted to explain it, but I couldn't do like one-on-one meetings. Turns out people loved it. Love the idea of being able to just watch it on their own time. They didn't have to take off of work to go schedule an appointment with their accountant, to go over their taxes with them, have to coordinate it with their spouse, or have to try and explain things to their spouse after the fact. And the spouse has questions that they didn't know that they should have asked, and then they get into a fight. So this way they get a recorded video. They watch it on their own time. They can watch it as many times as they want. They can slow it down if I'm talking too fast. They can speed it up if I'm talking too slow. They can skip sections. They can show their spouse. They can come up with their questions, and then they can email me or send me a message saying like, hey, I watched the video, but one thing I don't understand is this. And then it's like a much more productive conversation, because think about it. Like if you're sitting, let's say like at a doctor's office, and he's going through all this stuff and he's like, you have any questions? I'm like, well, I mean, on the spot, no, because I'm not sure what I'm supposed to ask. But then in the car ride home, absolutely. When I start researching it myself later, yeah, I have questions. But at that point, it's too late. So this way, you get like the information ahead of time. You can process your questions without the pressure that you're wasting somebody's time. And then you can send those questions in afterwards. So people loved it. And I did that for the longest time. And even whenever I went full time with the practice, I still do that. We do about 200 tax returns, and every single tax return gets a recorded review video of their taxes. It takes time, but honestly, I think it takes less time than doing one-on-one calls or one-on-one meetings, and it's actually more valuable to the client. So it's a win-win. Now, why am I bringing this up? I liked that so much that I wanted to keep doing it, and I want to do it in kind of every area of my business, because I am building this to be a thing that allows me to spend time with the kids, spend time with the wife, travel, and do those things while at the same time still supporting my clients and still building a firm for my team. And the only way to really do that is to do things asynchronously. If we have to be on the clock from 8 to 5 every day and answer the phone whenever it rings, then we really don't have the freedom of our time to do those kinds of things. So everything we did for the longest time was to be able to make sure that we could provide high value service for our clients while at the same time not necessarily being on at the same time as them and doing things asynchronously. I got away from that. a little bit whenever it comes to like our bookkeeping and consult and advisory services, where I started doing more and more not in person, but like live one-on-one advisory consult calls. And I love doing them. I really do. But there's a limit to how much I can do. Like if Fridays are going to be content days, and if I have to have time to be able to like train the team and do team meetings, and I have to have time to actually do some work, there's only a few like slots out of each week that I can actually do a one-on-one call with clients. The issue is, so, if you're talking to like a Alex Hermosi or a business coach, they'll say, oh, well, if your supply is limited and the demand is up, you should raise your prices. Like, yeah, but I can only raise my prices so high on this before it just gets ridiculous, right? So what am I thinking of doing instead? I want to move back to delivering advisory services asynchronously to an extent. So what I'm thinking is this. If we do your bookkeeping, instead of even offering like a monthly or quarterly check-in to go over your numbers and show you what happened, I don't think that's valuable to do live, to be honest, because it turns into like a board presentation. Here are your numbers, your cash increased by this, your sales were down by this, your expenses did that. And by the time we're having that call, like the period's already closed, like it already happened. It didn't really help that much anymore. So what if instead those were like the tax return review videos? What if those were just recorded videos that you get saying like, hey, we're going over your numbers with you. These are the things that we noticed. These are the things that changed. These are the things maybe we want to watch out for. If you have any questions, let us know. And then you can watch that on your own time. And then you have like a library of all the reviews and check-ins or whatever recorded for that you can go back and watch later. You can do that as part of your year-end review if you wanted to. But then reserving the consults and the live one-on-one things for specific strategic things. Like if we're implementing profit first in your business, we're going to do one-on-one calls to do that because there's a specific goal in mind. If we're going to, analyze like what part of the business you should be focusing on next, we're going to do one-on-one calls with that and talk about like what area you're working on, what problem are you trying to solve, and a specific thing that we're trying to do. If we're working on your personal finances with you, do one-on-one calls for that. But not doing just like, monthly check-ins to see how you're doing. I mean, we have the community where we can do that way cheaper actually than doing one-on-one calls for those things. And I honestly don't feel like I'm providing a ton of value by just saying like, hey, let's get on a call and I'll show you your numbers and you ask me some questions if you have them. I don't think that's that valuable. So what do you think about that? Would that be useful for you if you had, let's say, like a set of packages to choose from, if you're signing up for bookkeeping services where one level was basically just compliance. We're going to get the books done. We're going to get your taxes done. We'll be available for questions via email, but that's about it. And then the next level up is pretty much the same exact thing, except maybe you'll get quarterly review videos of your financials where we'll just like go over your numbers in a recorded video and send those to you on a quarterly basis. And then the next level up, maybe we do the same exact thing, but monthly videos instead of quarterly. And like, I don't know, maybe we also include some dashboards or something else to make it more valuable. And then separate from that, we offer these like specific advisory services like profit first implementations, analyzing metrics or solving specific problems, growing revenue, managing personal finances, anything that has a specific goal in mind. Those would be like supplemental to and separate from the bookkeeping services. Does that make sense? Is that something that would be valuable to you? Or is it actually valuable to have a one-on-one check-in where someone just shows you what your numbers were and you can ask some questions? If that is valuable, maybe it's something that I don't need to be the one doing. Maybe the bookkeeper, the person who's actually doing the books, maybe they would be the better person to do that kind of thing. So let me know your thoughts on that. And this video is running way longer than I thought it would. Look at me, doing long conversational videos with no end in sight. So the last thing I want to talk about is more technical, and I'll probably do a longer, like educational video on this. It's building an uh-oh fund, like, whoops, something happened. We need some money here. This is what I'm seeing happens. I don't know if you've heard of Dave Ramsey, he has his emergency fund, and he does like a baby emergency fund where he says, take $1,000, put it in a baby emergency fund before you get started paying off debt. And the idea there is if something happens, the refrigerator blows up, the air conditioner dies, whatever, you have a little bit of money there to be able to handle those things without having to go further into debt while you're trying to make progress. I like that idea. But I do think that the idea of it being an emergency fund is a little too strict. So here's my proposal. What if you have a fund in your business that's equal to about 1 week's worth of sales? That would be about 2% of your annual revenue. And it's not necessarily meant for emergencies only. It's meant for timing, for cash flow timing while you're doing other things. So the other things might be implementing profit first. It might be paying off debt. It might be growing revenue, whatever it is. But what I find happens is you'll start this process of like, I'm going to pay this debt down. I'm going to start doing profit first. And then it's the week of a federal holiday. And so the banks are closed on Monday and your money doesn't come in until Tuesday or possibly even Wednesday when the bank finally posts it. But you have bills due Tuesday and Wednesday, and you can't make those bills now because you were relying on last week's income that posted 3 days late. Well, if you had a 1 week account in place, then you could handle those really short-term 1 week timing issues that otherwise would throw you off. Because what happens is those bills come due, the money hasn't posted, but it will post. And so what you do is maybe you put it on a credit card, or you end up having to pull from a different account, and you're going to pay it back surely whenever that money finally deposits, but then you don't. And then you're constantly having to like move backwards and then get ahead, and then move backwards and get ahead. So a 1 week buffer is not nearly enough for a business long term. But from what I've seen with authors, a lot of authors don't even have any buffers in place. And so we try to do things like profit first, and they don't work well because there's no buffer to be able to handle those ups and downs. So a 1 week buffer is obviously not like the ending goal. Eventually we want that to be a 1 month and then a 3-month buffer. But in the beginning, I feel like you can't really start any financial endeavor in your business until you have at least that 1 week buffer in place, so that you can have the money there that you need to handle all those ups and downs and those stupid timing things that are causing so much issues. And then let's focus on getting some other things in place. And once those things are in place, then we can focus on bringing that 1 week buffer up to a 1 month buffer. Because if you get a 1 month buffer, then that means every dollar of income you get this month, you can use for next month's expenses. So you start the month knowing exactly how much money you have to operate on. We were able to do that for a while in our personal finances. I had switched jobs, and the way that the timing of payroll went, it's like I kind of doubled up, because I want to say the previous job paid at the end of the month and the next job paid at the beginning of the month. And so we were able to jump ahead a little bit. And man, that was amazing. Like the whole month, you knew all your expenses were covered because you had the money set aside from the previous month. And so we used YNAB, software called You Need a Budget, and the money would come in and we would allocate it towards next month's expenses. So when the first of the month came, it's like we had everything in place that we needed. We knew exactly the money that we were going to have, and we knew that we couldn't borrow from ourselves. And it actually it was like a little emergency fund. It helped us to be able to, if there was something that came up, we knew that we could dip into it if we knew that we can end up building it back up the next month. So we can do the same thing in your business. 1 month would be great. Ideally, you have 3 months of expenses set aside. That way you can handle any kind of ups and downs. Oh, but the whole reason that this 1 week fund actually came about is because I've seen if you're doing like direct sales, you're doing ads, and Facebook just decides, hey, guess what? We're going to test our algorithm using your money, and you're not going to make any sales, and we're just going to keep your money anyway. Those little blips I've seen typically seem to last about a week, right? Or if they do start, then within the week, you can make a change where things start coming back up the next week. So again, that 1 week buffer is for timing issues. And it's also so that whenever those 1 week blips happen with Facebook and you don't get your your return on ad spend that you usually get, but you're still having to pay for the ads, at least now you have the money to cover expenses, and you can say, crap, I didn't mean for that to happen, but it happened and I have the money. And then you just build it back up after you've used it. So are you doing that? Is that helpful? Do you feel like at least having a 1 week buffer in place is something doable? I feel like that's something that you can build up a 1 week buffer. You should be able to do it over the course of a month, maybe 2 months. Probably shouldn't take longer than that. If it's taking you longer than that, then you might not have enough margin coming through. But if you can like just really aggressively build up a 1 week buffer, shouldn't take too long to do it, but I think it'll make a big difference in how you do things. Okay, this is 20 minutes. This might be one of the longest rambling videos I've done. Is this too long? Is this too much? Um, I don't know. I'm enjoying doing these. This is a fun way for me to just get my thoughts out. But it's almost like journaling, but with voice. If you have questions, if you have ideas for me, if you just hate this and want me to please stop doing this, let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to see you next time.